Hello, Riley. How's it going?
I'm good.
We're just gonna jump right into it.
Yeah.
It's been a while, a hot sec, but I guess just first off, how have things been?
Well, it's kind of crazy. You're not going to believe this, but there's been like this global pandemic happening.
Whoa.
I know. It's a lot to catch up on. They have a vaccine now. I haven't gotten it. Sounds pretty cool. Can't wait.
Yeah, it sounds pretty dope. Like my mom and brother got the first like round of them.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, oh, that sounds great. I'm like, I don't know when I'll ever get that, but.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, I expect that to be in the fall or winter, not holding my breath.
Yeah. Well, besides pandemic, I guess.
Besides that.
How have things been going?
Pretty good, honestly, all things considered. I can't super complain. I mean, this past year was wild for all of us.
Sure.
My mom got COVID like right away in about a year ago in March. So that the whole beginning of the pandemic was just like, what is this new disease? Is my mom going to die from it? What's happening? And she's alive. It all worked out. She recovered and everything.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, the beginning of it was definitely like intensely stressful. But in terms of just the day-to-day stuff, I don't know. I stay home all the time anyway. I wasn't sad about like not having to go to my day job and working from home. That part of it was like cool with me. I don't really miss going out because I didn't used to go out that much. So I miss seeing people. It would be nice to hang out with my friends once again. But otherwise, like pandemic survival has been fine.
What have you been doing to take up your time?
I just started I have a comedy duo partner named Daniel Montgomery. Together we are Mary Kate and Ashtray, and we just started getting back into creating some stuff. So we're actually we're shooting a feature film in like less than 2 weeks.
Oh damn.
That just kind of like came out of quarantine. We were like, what if we got a cabin and everybody like quarantined and tested and there were only a few of us and we shot a movie there. And based on that text thread, we just kept saying yes, and we wrote it, or Daniel wrote it, and now we have money and we're making it. So,
damn,
yeah,
good for you.
Thanks. It's very exciting, but it's also, it was completely born out of like the industry pretty much shut down, except for voiceover stuff. I don't know. Have you been busy? I feel like the voiceover was like the only thing that survived.
I lucked out in that voiceover had a bit of a stall at the top of it. Like they were not sure how to like continue, but after a certain point, things kind of got back to normal. And then I like sort of strangely enough it's been the busiest time for me. I think things have ramped up, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate enough, I guess, but. I know you were considering dabbling in, or going into voiceover as well, right? I think last time we talked.
Yeah, so kind of randomly, fortuitously, at like late February 2020, I signed with a voiceover agent. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to spend the money. I'm going to get a nice microphone and like convert my closet into a little recording booth and like just hope this works. And then the whole world shut down except for voiceover. So I got all these voiceover auditions. Haven't booked anything yet, but
that's about normal.
Yeah, I was like, it's a totally different world from what I'm used to audition wise, because I'm getting a ton more auditions, but they're for huge things, and I know that they're getting like 2,000 submissions, and you're just one voice in a sea of voices.
Yeah. I guess because this is kind of like your first steps into it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a podcast and I've been doing I do ads for Wondery. So if you listen to any podcasts on Wondery, you've probably heard my voice on their ads. But that's kind of
So you did that then?
Yeah, I've been doing that for about almost 2 years now. So
that's cool.
I've done some stuff, but not as I haven't done a lot of like character driven animation or video games or anything like that in the voiceover space yet.
Sure.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, there's also tons of different focuses in the voiceover sphere, right? Like commercial, some people do like audiobooks.
Right.
Some people do, all sorts of things. But like, I'm excited for you. Like, it's definitely a kind of a scary frontier to start out in. Like, I've been doing it for a while, so it's like, I feel like only like maybe a couple years ago did it finally like go, oh, things are like kind of finally going like pretty well. Like,
yeah.
But I've been, God, this is like my 9th year ish, you know. Oh man, so it's something though that for me, like I just, as you're also an actor as well, like there's just the love of it, right? So like just gotta keep it the grind, right? That sort of thing. But
yeah, I mean, I definitely feel lucky to have gotten signed with that agent like right as everything else crashed and burned. And also because it just is it's such great practice, and you're like all alone in your coat closet, or at least I am. And you get an email that's like, here's a script for you, send us back an MP3, do whatever you want, and you're just alone by yourself being like, okay, I'm gonna just try a bunch of different voices and send them one of them and hope that works out.
You just got to do that hundreds of times. And 95% of them you don't hear anything back, and that's the job.
Yeah.
But that's exciting. I wanted, it's kind of sort of speaking of acting and stuff. I kind of wanted to revisit something that we both were in, which was Anime Crimes Division.
Yes.
Which, for those of you listening who aren't aware, it's a live-action series on Rocket Jump's website or YouTube channel, along on as well as Crunchyroll. You can watch it on there. A co-production between them, 2 seasons. It's dope. And if you haven't seen it, a lot of this is not going to make any sense, but that's fine. I don't care. So I guess before we jump into it, should we worry about spoilers for things? Do you think people care?
That's a good question.
I'll let you decide.
I kind of feel like no, because frankly, even when you were like, if you haven't watched Anime Crimes Division, in my head I was like, I don't know why you're listening to this episode then, because you probably are listening because you have watched Anime Crimes Division.
Oh, not necessarily.
I guess that's true. Maybe they're just like, who is this Riley person? She sounds cool. I
don't know if we want to start with just season 1, season 2. Like, I guess season 1. Like, and I'd be curious because I actually did a couple videos way back, kind of talking about my experience with it. But I would love to hear sort of like just your perspective, your thoughts on stuff, and I'll just sort of chime in, I guess, as we go or whatever. But,
sure.
Yeah, I guess just season 1. Just I guess for me to preface, like, it was my first ever, like, really big live action thing, so I was terrified. I don't know if I ever told you the story about Freddie picking me up from the airport.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. So when I flew in to, because at the time I didn't live here, I had to fly in from Michigan,
right,
to film, and Freddie picked me up from the airport, and we were driving. He was driving me to my hotel, and I was like, I'm gonna be, because I at this point I'd been buds with Freddie. I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope you know what you're doing, because I don't like. I am gonna try my best for sure, but I am terrified. Like, I have never done this before. Like, so I'm gonna be depending a lot on you. And he just went. He was, to his credit, he was just like, you're gonna do great.
Oh yeah.
I was like, thank you for saying that. I hope you're right. And then, for me, it was being thrust into this, like, just completely new world. And it was like push into the deep end, but I managed to doggy paddle my way.
Oh, yeah. You were great.
I'm not fishing for compliments, but I appreciate it. But for me, I was legitimately like, oh God, okay. But for you, I maybe we want to go into kind of like your background before we even jump into Anime Crimes. Like,
yeah,
like you've been doing this for a while. So like, what's your sort of background before even ACD?
Yeah, I mean, I am like that weird child that knew I wanted to be an actor when I was 4 years old. I saw my brother in a play, and I was like, I would like to do that forever. And my parents were like, that's cute. And then I just never let go of it. And it was like an annoying obsession, I think, as a child. And then I was like, guess what? I'm going to go to a special high school for this. And they were like, okay. And then I was like, I'm going to major in this in college. And they were like, good luck. They're very supportive, but also I think any parent that has a child that like wants to be, I don't know, like they're like, I'm gonna be a rock star. They're like, oh, okay, sweetie, hope you make money and like are able to afford a place to live.
I know exactly how you're. Yeah, my parents were exactly the same way. Yeah.
But they're very supportive. I appreciate all the love and encouragement they gave me. So anyway, I ended up at USC knowing that I wanted to be I mostly applied to colleges in New York and LA just because I was like, that's where all the acting happens. I'm from a small island in Maine where no acting happens. So that seemed like a smart move. So anyway, I went to USC. And then after I graduated, it was just sort of like, bye, good luck. See if you can get some auditions or whatever. Yeah. It's a wild, wild world out there.
And that to me is so daunting.
I know.
At that point, did you have representation?
No, I absolutely did
not.
Oh
my God. So yeah, continue, please. I'm just like, how do people get any jobs ever?
I know. We had, at the end of college, they did a showcase where we got to each perform a scene for like a whole bunch of agents and casting directors. And some of my classmates landed really big agents from that. I did not. I was expecting, I think I was like a little misinformed about what kind of opportunities would come from that showcase. They were like, yeah, you're going to do showcase, then you're going to get your agent, you're going to go on all these auditions, you're going to get rejected a million times, and then eventually you're going to get a series regular in your life, and it's all going to be great.
Right.
I think the biggest surprise for me coming into the professional world in LA was how hard it was to even get auditions.
Yeah,
I was really expecting, kind of like what we were talking about with voiceover, to go out for hundreds of things and just get people telling you no all day long, and that's fine, and you're happy anyway, and then eventually you get something. But getting auditions was really hard, really few and far between. I did have a really lucky moment, and this is kind of a lot of people's story in Hollywood, I think, is just perseverance combined with like random moments of luck. So a friend of mine, after I got nothing out of Showcase, a friend of mine who was in the graduate program at USC, he was like, oh, I got all these meetings out of our Showcase, and I met with this one agent that I didn't sign with, but maybe she'll meet with you. And so I signed with this agent for a little while, who I ended up leaving, but she did get me one audition for Southland, and it was my first audition, and I booked it, and I got my SAG card. So it was just like immediate sort of like foot in the door. I played a prostitute. My parents were very proud. And then from there, it was just sort of like any little thing I could get here and there. It was a lot of like, just pulling myself up by my own bootstraps, or whatever they say.
Right.
And somewhere in there's this website called Actors Access where actors can submit themselves to acting projects. And I was submitting myself to all these like short films, student projects, like whatever was on there. And I saw a project called Video Game High School, and I was like, this sounds like fun. So I submitted myself for it. And I got a notice from the casting director, whose name I kind of recognized. And it turns out she and I went to USC together, and we were in a comedy group together. And she was like, we want you to do a self-tape for this. So I did one of my very first self-tapes in like my studio apartment by MacArthur Park, and ended up getting a little part in Video Game High School, which is where I met Freddie and the whole Rocket Jump team first. So that was kind of my foray into the world that Freddie and Matt have created, into like their web stuff and starting to work with them. Honestly, for years, I thought that they did not think I was funny or good.
Oh, really? Why is that?
I think I had a couple other friends that worked with them and that were like in Video Game High School, and they would cast in their stuff, and they would call them a lot and put them in a lot of different projects. And like, they put me in a couple things, but I just had I just thought like, oh, they don't think that I'm very special. Like, that's fine. I'm just like not on the top of their list for anything, but like, that's okay. So when Freddie texted me and was like, hey, we're doing this thing called Anime Crimes Division, and we are want to see if you're interested in being like the female lead or whatever, I was like, what? It was like this validating moment. And there was no reason that I felt that way. Like, Freddie has only ever been like incredible to me and Matt and like, you know, the Rocket Jump team is like the nicest, most supportive group of people you could possibly work with. And I think it was I think I just had like, you know, Hollywood on my back, like weighing on me, being like, I'm not getting the parts I wanted to get. It's probably because I'm bad in some way.
No, that's a very like common feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's, you know, like, you know, even me sometimes, you know, it's irrational, right? It's like, oh, like I didn't book that thing I wanted because maybe I'm just not good. It's like, it's because there are, you know, 500 auditions, you know, it's just, you know, the odds are always against you, right?
Always.
No matter how good you are, right? So, you know, it's funny you say that it's, you know, random luck and whatever, but a lot of it really is for acting and voice acting. It's a lot of it is networking, right? It's you know, you met people through school who got you, you know, stuff, and then also a common thing that I hear or that is talked about on this podcast, but it's like, you know, you were prepared, right? So that when opportunities came your way, you were good enough to grab them, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you were like, you know, that first audition, you booked your first audition ever.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
I mean, my first audition out of college, I had done other like little things, it's student films and stuff, but yeah, my first like network TV audition in a reel, and I don't know why they gave me my SAG card. That was kind of like a weird, nobody still understands that. They're like, they gave you, because you have to pay extra to get a non-union actor into the guild, and it was like a 2-line hooker role, and they for some reason were like, no, we need this girl. So
I mean, honestly, you probably just were just dope at the audition.
I just nailed it. I just was so good. That the fun part about that was that about 4 years later, I booked a pilot where I was also playing a hooker, and we shot those scenes in the alley next to the alley that I shot my very first hooker scenes in. So it came full circle.
And then it just became like, all right, let's just try to hit every alley on the street, basically.
Yeah. So that was also kind of the joke when we were doing Anime Crimes Division, that like that was one of the first times I was on the right side of the law, because I had been playing a lot of criminals and criminal informants and, you know, bad guys.
Yeah. I mean, bad guys are fun to play, though.
Oh, they so are. They are.
But going back to you, so you got the text from Freddie. And
Freddie hit me up. And he was like, at the time, he was also like, are you an anime fan? And I was like, I was honest. I was like, here's the thing. My boyfriend is more of an anime fan than I am. He's introduced me to some Miyazaki films, and we're watching Avatar and like some things in that genre. But I think I literally said I have a lot to learn. And Freddie texted me back something along the lines of like, haha, perfect. Because turns out the role is like kind of this, you know, she's like a noob, and she knows she has her own stuff, but she's also sort of like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and like newer to this world, as opposed to your character who's kind of like grizzled and hardened by the system. And so I don't know, I guess maybe that kind of worked out. But he sent me the scripts. He was like, let me know what you think. And I checked him out, and I was like, this looks amazingly fun. And yeah, it was the easiest thing I ever booked, I guess.
Oh man, for me, having it be my first live action thing, I mean, I'm really my only live action thing, but like, you know, I'm like, it was such a wonderful experience. And I believe our first scene was the one with the Japanese like crime family, right?
Yes.
Was that our first scene? Mm-hmm. So what was your sort of, I guess, how did you feel going into that, like as we were doing that scene?
So, I mean, the way Rocket Jump works also, as you know, is they move so fast and they're so efficient with everything they do. That it was like, I think you guys had shot something else earlier that day. So I came in like halfway through the first day and met you guys at that second location. And they were like, okay, we'll put you in hair and makeup. For a second, they were like, here's this wig. I don't know if you knew this, but I almost was wearing a wig for the entire series. This like short.
I did not know that.
They're like, here's your wig. It was like this short, like bangs, I think kind of bob wig. And they were like putting me in it, and Freddie walked by and he was like, I like her regular hair. And they were like, okay. And just like, that's how quickly decisions are made. But also, I mean, Freddie just knows what he's doing and can make those decisions that quickly. For everything from just like, oh, what a character looks like, to like visual effects and how this like incredible visual thing is going to be pulled off. He's done so much of that it's just like second nature. So yeah, it was like, okay, get you ready, jump into the scene. Here's what's happening. This is Sung-Wan. Nice to meet you. Okay, let's film a scene together. Jump right in.
Did the wig look good? Or were you like, thank God?
I don't think I even got it on. And they had it like on one of those like styrofoam heads like next to me. And they were just like putting my hair back to put it in the wig, I think.
Yeah.
And Freddie was like, oh, that ponytail that it's already in is good. And she was like, oh, all right, great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I remember during that scene, because, again, I'm just like a bundle of nerves, like for most of I think probably most of season 1, if not all of it. But I just remember like going through that scene and being like, damn, she's good. I was like, okay, she's really good. And like, I feel like there's a really fun, like back and forth sort of chemistry in the read here. I was like, okay, this will be fun. Like,
yeah. No,
because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what to expect.
Too. Yeah. I think it was like, we had those lines where I was like, I had like an aside to you where I don't remember the exact lines anymore, but I was like, I don't trust them or something like that. And you were like, shut up. It's something. And like immediately I remember being like, oh yeah, because nothing is more fun than when you're acting with another actor and they actually are giving it to you. They're like engaging with you, and like you were just immediately right there with me. And I was like, I was just like, oh, this is going to be great, because the whole like series kind of depends on our relationship together. And
sure.
Because we were just sort of like thrown into it, I was just like, who knows? This could be great, or this could be like really awkward. But I think right from that first scene, I was like, oh, I just had no concerns. I was like, this is going to be so much fun.
Now, at that point, did you know who I was outside of the show at all?
Gonna be honest, I did not.
That's honestly for the better.
They gave us a call sheet. If you're not an actor, what happens when you are, you're like, oh, I booked a role. They send you this list of everybody who's going to be on set with you that day. So I saw on the call sheet, they had you listed as ProZD. So I was like,
God.
I was like, what? And I Googled you, of course, because I was like, is this a robot? What is ProZD? What does this mean? And I was like, oh, okay. So I mean, I knew what you looked like, and I think I maybe watched one of your sketches or whatever.
Sure.
But just to be like, who is this person? So I can imagine them accurately. In my head, it could have easily been like a 70-year-old man, or like the role of Joe was just like this grizzled detective. Could be. I can imagine that a million different ways.
Right.
So I Googled you, but no, I had not heard of you otherwise before.
No, I was gonna be like, oh, because I was like, you could be honest. Like, if you saw that, I was like, oh God, some fucking YouTube guy. Like, no, I hope this guy doesn't suck ass. Like,
here's the thing,
I would not blame you at all for that.
Because I did Video Game High School, which was it was like half actors and half YouTubers essentially, and I had like been in the presence of Freddie and Matt. Matt didn't work with us on season 1 of Anime Crimes Division, but he came on for season 2. But for Video Game High School, they can get a performance out of any person. So even when I was just thinking of that when Freddie was like, no, dude, you're good. Like, first of all, he knew you were good from watching your videos, and he wouldn't have put you in it if he didn't think you could carry the show. But I also know that he knows how to work with any human on camera and like communicate to them and get what he needs out of them. Yeah, I mean, I trust him so much that even when I was like, oh, Sung-Wan seems to do majority of his work on like voiceover and YouTube stuff, I was like, of course, great. That I had no like qualms about like, oh, I don't know if he has the right experience for this very fancy project we're engaging in. I was even like, he knows more about anime than I do, so I hope everybody doesn't think I'm just like some idiot.
Oh, that's so funny, because for me, I'm like, God, I hope I don't look like a fucking dipshit in front of all these actual actors. They're like, who's this moron, like trying to act on camera. So for me, it was just like grabbing all my experience with voiceover and trying to apply as much of it to on screen as possible, which was still, for you guys, it's like memorizing lines, hitting marks, thinking about your face. Like, that's all natural to you. It was such a, like, I had to really focus. I mean, of course you should focus, but for me, it was especially daunting. But I tried my best, and I think in the end, I was happy with how it turned out. So
yeah, you did great, and I think coming from a voiceover background, and I think just like the way that your mind works with character serves you so well with live action stuff, because it's like you understand the difference between, and even in your sketches and stuff, when you're just like goofily playing a bunch of different characters, you just so cleanly understand the difference between, like, is this a hero entering the scene? Is this a villain entering the scene? Is this person, like, do they have a secret? Are they up to no good? Are they just like blindly optimistic about whatever, all of that stuff, it comes through so clearly. It's almost like archetypal work that we talk about in theater school.
Sure.
But you like that serves you so well in better than I think maybe you think it does in live action. Just knowing who you are and what the environment is and what the scene requires. I think a lot of actors who maybe do majority live action stuff get so caught up in, like, am I believable? Are they going to believe me as a real human being? Instead of being like, what does the scene require of you right now? What part of yourself are you bringing to this scene? And yeah, so anyway, I think you were very well equipped and you did an incredible job.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think for me, the best moments of both seasons were like, because I've described this on the podcast before, but my favorite, like, what I love about acting, what got me in love with acting at a young age, like not as young as you, but like high school, was losing myself in a role, right? Like really getting so into it that I'm not even thinking about, like, oh, I'm in a scene or whatever. Like, I feel like I'm really in it, right? I really am the character. And there were moments in, Anime Crimes Division. Yeah, it's obviously like all tongue in cheek and it's all, but like I really like let myself get, wrapped up in like emotional scenes. If the character is actually emotional, I was actually getting emotional, even though I know in my head that it's also, in the end, it's supposed to be funny. But I think I think what makes that show work is how earnestly we treat everything, and how to them it's not a joke. It's all deadly serious, and that's, I think, what lends itself to the comedy. But are there any other moments in season 1 that like really stand out to you, like any memories or experiences?
Wow. Okay, let me think back. What happened in season 1? We had 3 episodes.
We had let's
Subs
see,
versus Dubs.
Subs versus Dubs. We had the Yu-Gi-Oh den, crime den.
Right.
And then we had the Gundam Killer. That was season 1.
That's right. Oh man, what a good time. Yeah, I mean, I also just, I feel like the environments that they created were so like tangible. I felt very immersed as an actor in all of our scenes because of how much detail went into, like, that casino scene was incredible. They had incredible background artists, and the set that we were on and all the details, the costumes and the props and everything were so cool that just getting into the vibe of that scene, because obviously it's kind of like poking fun at it's equally poking fun at anime and at cop shows, right? Like detective shows, and like going undercover into like this sexy casino, and like it made it so easy to get involved in the environments, or even like the lair, like the chief's lair with all the Gundam pieces. Like that was incredible. That was set design. Oh my god. So it made it just easy to immerse yourself in like the attitude and the environment of the scene and what it required. Even like that very last moments of the 3rd episode where you're like quitting and leaving, and it's that just came, I felt so naturally to just like sink into those moments and like feel the gravitas of like
yeah
even though it is the most ridiculous, there are literally like chopped up Gundams hanging from strings on the ceiling, like
yeah, like I said, like the scene where I'm pointing the gun at him, like I really got into it.
Yeah.
Like, there were parts where like I was like I almost like lost focus. I was like, oh god, like wait, get back, remember the line. But like I was like, all right, well, if we're gonna do this, I'm gonna go into it. But it also helped, like you said, that the scene, like Kirk is so amazing, and he's so fun, and the set is so, the lighting, it was like, all right, yeah,
I'm in it. I'm here.
I'm in it, exactly.
Yes. No, I remember when your Gundam's son was kidnapped, you broke down. I was like, felt very real, and it makes my job easier too, because I'm like trying to comfort you, but I'm like, holy shit, this guy he's not okay.
Oh man. All those, God. So I actually have some notes for season 2, but if there's more season 1 stuff, let me know.
Oh, we can go to season 2. I
just want to say that just going off, but like bouncing off of you in scenes is it was so fun because first off, you're fucking amazing. So like you hit, it's like no matter what, you hit it all the time. But like those characters just get mad at each other on a dime all the time, and it's so fun. Like being angry at each other is really fun, but also just like being BFFs is all like, oh my god, like I feel like we covered like several emotional gambits of like several wide spectrums of emotion just between those two characters within an episode sometimes.
Absolutely, because that's kind of what they were doing. They were like, let's take a cop show and boil it down to like the most intense moments, or like the most heightened moments. So we got all the heightened emotions with like all the bullshit that's normally in a cop show like cut out.
yeah And we'll jump into season 2. Feel free, if you remember anything from season 1, to bring it up. It does not need to be in order.
Sure.
But like I literally have the notes I wrote for. I was intentionally I was gonna do the videos, like I said, but I was like, it'd be more fun to talk to somebody about this. And so I was like, okay, I'll do this with Riley.
Yes.
And I remember the first episode, which is the golf one.
Oh yeah.
No. But for you actually got to shoot stuff even before. I wasn't even there for day 1. You did, I think, a bunch of your stuff day 1.
What the hell was day 1?
Day 1 must have been the crime scene, like the crime scene. Because I wasn't in that scene.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Tape Detective. That's right.
Yeah. It's funny from my perspective. Like, so my character has a best friend, Hideki, who dies in the show, and so the very first spoiler. The very first thing I did in season 2 was I had to meet up with that actor on a random, actually just right outside where Rocket Jump used to be, on a random street. And we just took a bunch of photos together, like we were best friends. Yeah, because they show photos of us later. Yeah. So it was just like, hey, nice to meet you. All right, let's take photos where we're best of friends. And then I never saw him again because he dies in a scene that I'm not in. Like,
oh my god, that's true.
Because he gets murdered in the phone booth, and then I never saw him again. But I was like, nice to meet you. And I was like, and as he was leaving, I was like, wait, I have no scenes with him, so I'm never going to see that guy again.
No, never again.
And then I believe the first day was also the kids did their scenes.
The kids.
It was very funny because at the rap party where we watched Speed Racer.
Yes.
I think young Hideki was there. Or I was told either by you or by Freddie or Matt that like the kids were like big fans of mine, and they were like, "Oh man, where's ProZD?" And he's like, "They're like, ProZD's not coming," and they're like, "Oh!" I thought,
yeah, they were bummed.
I thought that was funny, but I did get to meet young Hideki at the rap party, and we took a photo, so that was nice.
Yeah, they were super, super cute. They were shooting their stuff first, so when I got to set, they were kind of finishing up. But they recognized me. They were fans of the first season.
Hell yeah!
Like I could see them across the parking lot, being like, "That's Diesel," and I was wearing my Tape Detective costume, which might be one of my favorite costumes that I had for that entire show because it was so comfortable. It's like giant like cargo pants, and it was just ridiculous and hideous and amazing.
Yeah.
So I was wearing my tape detective outfit, but they're like, I could see them pointing at me. They're like, that's Diesel. And I was like, oh my God. I felt like it was just such a cool moment, especially for like little kids to be like fans of something. And they like came up to me and they like wanted to talk to me about season 1. And they also wanted to know where you were. And I was like, I promise I'll let him know that you say hello.
Sure.
But yeah, that was cool that they were not only involved but also like fans of the project, and not just, there's a million little kids in Hollywood that get cast in things and just show up and do their job, but they got some pretty cool little kids.
Yeah, they seemed very fun. I remember, let's see, episode 1, you did your golf swing, which they almost didn't shoot. Remember that?
So I do remember that. Yeah. Freddie sent me. He texted me like a couple weeks before and was like, do you know how to golf? And I was like, sure don't. But my boyfriend Kyle does, and maybe he can show me how to swing a golf club. And he was like, yeah, that'd be good. So Kyle and I went to the driving range. And Freddie had sent me a video of himself swinging a golf club and like explaining how to do it properly. Kyle and I went to the driving range, and Kyle like taught me how to swing a golf club, which is way harder than I expected it to be. I was like, I can swing fuck you. Of course I can. Sorry, you can cut that if we can't swear.
Oh, no, you can swear. Yeah.
Great. So I was like, fuck you. Of course I can swing a golf club. That's easy, but it's not as easy as it looks. So I did work hard on that. I sent Freddie like a video of my golf swing. He was like, it's pretty good. Here's an adjustment. So I was like, I had done some training. I had done some golf training.
Yeah.
And we were shooting on this like actual golf course, which was very beautiful.
Yeah.
And the whole, it's that whole scene is leading up to this hitting a child with a golf ball.
Yep.
So that he stops running away with, what was he running away with?
Oh God, what was it? It was
he had swapped his love letter with
my sign-up papers for the city.
Oh, housing.
What the hell? Prestige Television City. Yeah.
Right, you were moving, and it was your application to move to Prestige, right? And he was running away with it, and I saved the day. You break the golf club, I repair the golf club, and then swing and hit a golf ball and hit a child in the head with it.
Yeah.
And he stops, and the day is saved.
Yeah.
And we were definitely running out of light. I remember it getting like pretty dark, and they were like, they're like, okay, let's get this shot. Let's move on to the next one. They're like, Riley, you're wrapped for the day. Goodbye. Yeah. And I was like, did you need me to swing the golf club? Like we practiced so hard. And they were like, oh shit, yes, we do need that from you. That made it into the BTS, which I was happy with. I also, that golf scene day, I really loved how they shot that scene where you're chasing him.
In like a half circle running around.
Yeah. I thought that was so clever, because it looks like the camera guy is running along with you, but the way they did it was they created like this arc, this like half circle arc, and so someone ran around an arc and they followed him along it, almost like a protractor. Is that the right?
Yeah, like a protractor.
Yeah, like a protractor. And because you were always the same distance away from the camera along the arc, it totally worked, and you didn't have to they didn't have to run alongside you for miles and miles. You did have to do a lot of running. You did a lot more running than I did.
Yes. Running in a half arc, running up a hill, a lot of running that day.
Lots of running.
The only other note I had for this episode was, there's a line where I think it's my tape for Prestige, and I will say, I don't think you'll understand this reference, but there's a line in there where it's like the line something, my hate for anime is bigger than the gaping plot holes in Bleach. I just want people to know that was an improv of mine, because they asked me to rewrite a line.
Nice.
Just so you know, Bleach is an anime, Riley, that is really bad and has gaping plot holes. So
yeah, I mean, I trust you. If you wrote that line, I believe you. I do not. You're right. It went right over my head, but.
Oh no, yeah. It's now I will say, I believe it was after that shoot. I was waiting for like a lift or something, and then you were like, "Oh, do you just want to ride back?" And that started the thing where we drove to each every shoot day together, right?
Yeah. I think we discovered that we live like a mile away from each other.
Yeah, we live pretty close to each other, and so we were like, yeah, let's just carpool. Which honestly, I think, so kind of, because I think we got along pretty well in season 1, but I think by season 2, I was like, yo, Riley's a bud. I was like, yeah,
totally.
Yeah, because it just ended up being a lot of just shooting the shit as we were going, and like just sort of learning about, and I learned about. What was it? There was like you love Survivor.
I love Survivor.
Also an interesting thing. Yeah, an interesting, like, your background where you didn't watch any cartoons. I don't know if you want to talk about this.
I mean, sure. Yeah, I didn't have a TV growing up. My mom and my dad are divorced but live in houses that are like, I don't know, maybe 300 yards away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
My dad had a TV that you could like hook up to like tinfoil and get like 3 or 4 channels on, and my mom had no TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't watch TV really. I mean, I watched, in terms of animated stuff, I watched like all the Disney movies that came out when we were kids, because we were in a pretty solid Disney movie time.
Sure.
It was like Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King. Like I was into those ones. But in terms of like cartoons, no. I just weren't on my radar.
Because I remember you were at my place once for like a board game thing, and we were playing a game called Telestrations. I don't know if you remember this. It's the one where you drop.
Of course, I remember this, because this happens in any like cool millennial friend group that I get myself into at any point. At some point, everyone's like, let's all talk about the pop culture shit we have in common. And I'm like, I will see myself out.
Oh, it was great, though. It was great because Telestrations is a game where you draw a picture or you write a word, people have to draw the picture, and then you pass it. Like, then they have to draw a word of what they think the picture is, and so on. It's like telephone. But
I'm also a really bad drawer.
Oh, I'm even
on top
worse.
Of that, and like we're playing with Anne Marie, who's like an incredible artist. So I'm looking at other people's drawings, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but I think it was it Squidward from SpongeBob SquarePants? I think it was
very possible.
I think. Which, do you still not know who Squidward is? It's okay. If you
mean, I have an image in my head. Is he pink?
No, that's Patrick.
So I do not know who Squidward is.
Gotcha. Yeah, but I think it was honestly more fun because it's like, what do you think this character looks like? And it was because I think that game is less interesting if all the drawings are good and it's just super
accurate,
and it's super accurate. It's way funnier if it just goes off the rails. So, giving you like, I don't know, like Squidward, who like, for most people our age is like, oh yeah, I just know who that is. It's like Mickey Mouse, right? But I love just your interpretations, like, and I'm promising you, I'm not making fun of you. I loved it. I was like, this is such a great like dynamic to add to this game.
It's kind of a fun, like, and it's kind of the reason why improv is fun too, because if you get an improv suggestion in a show, I did a lot of improv in college, and frequently, you take suggestions from the audience, and they're like, this thing, and for me, 90% of the time, I'm like, don't know what that is. For a lot of people, maybe it's like 50% of the time, but you just do it anyway, and it ends up being delightful if you're like, I'm going to do a whole scene about Squidward. Let me tell you about who Squidward is. He was a child who was scuba diving, and he encountered a school of squid. And one of them, they bonded, and he took him home, and they became best friends. And then the lightning struck, and there was this like moment, this sort of like superhero gets his powers moment, where the squid and the child became fused into one. Yeah. And so the child became half squid, but he could only move backwards with his squid tentacles, which is why they call him Squidward. That's the origin story of Squidward. So
that's honestly a better version. Yeah.
Having no frame of reference gives you full freedom to be like, well, I'm going to tell you exactly what this is.
I did not think you were going to even go the backward forward route with Word. I thought you went an extra step ahead. That's incredible. Or backwards. But let's see. Episode 2 is the AMV Alley stuff.
Sorry, go ahead. I mean, I was just thinking because somebody asked us on your Twitter question, what was your favorite scene to shoot in Anime Crimes Division?
Yeah.
And like past Riley would be like, not that one. But because like shooting it was a nightmare. It was like horrible. It was
horrible.
It was also like kind of awesome because of how awful it was.
Yeah.
For context, it was 115 degrees in
Los
Los
Angeles. There was that heat wave. It was a crazy heat wave. Yeah.
It was outrageous, and it just so happened. This is what happens when we were shooting for 2 weeks. You can't predict the weather really,
right.
And in LA, the weather's kind of the same every day. So if there's something weird happens, it's like, wow, who knew that there was going to be a 115 fucking degree day, and that just so happened to be the day that we were in a giant warehouse with no air conditioning.
It was a night shoot too, it
was a night shoot, and it didn't even at like 4 a.m, it was still like 100 degrees.
Yeah,
and we were doing fight stunt scenes. We were like running and jumping, and it was very physical. We were really tired and really hot.
Because did they film your like I guess spoiler, shooting the guy? I'm just gonna say guy shooting the guy from the stairway scene before AMV Alley stuff. Was that
no?
first?
That was after.
It was
after.
Last. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was the last
so tired.
scene? What was the last scene we did then that day?
The last scene we did that day.
Because I wasn't in the. Are you sure it wasn't? Because I think we did.
No, we started with you going up the stairs and my stunt double jumping through the window.
Yeah.
Which was so badass, and I could never do in real life.
Which that was fucking cool. Yeah.
That was very
watching
cool.
Stunt people is incredible.
I know, Freddie's like, hey, do you think that you could time this so that you dive through this window that's like 2 feet by 2 feet and fly into a scene where another person is running and tackle that person onto a bed? And she was just like, absolutely.
Yeah, she just nailed it. Like, they basically got like in one, but like, let's just do another just for coverage.
It was incredible. I think we started with that, and then we went down to actual AMV Alley, and we did all the like walking through stuff. I almost feel like you had a break when we shot the big high fall stunt with the shooting.
Yeah.
And then maybe, did we finish with Mama Sasuke?
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Something like that. Yeah, because it
all blends together because we were very tired.
Yeah, I remember that night, I really thought I was losing my mind because it was so hot, but also I was fucking sleepy. And because it's like, you're just kind of sitting there. It's too hot to think. There was like one person found like a fucking sofa or something, and I was like, I want to murder you. I was like, I want to murder you just to take your spot on that. Like I don't think it was even like a sofa. It just was like some kind of mattress or something. And I was like, I want to kill you. But then when I finally got to shoot, the set was so cool for that AMV Alley scene, and it was really fun. Cool. Walk and talk down the alley. Yeah. Oh man, it was very very refreshing. Like to finally actually get to work because it was miserable in that warehouse.
Night shoots are already kind of miserable because your whole body and brain gets broken by like usually you get to set at like 7 a.m. and you wrap by 7 p.m. and it's a relatively normal day. Maybe you had to wake up early, but it's like it's a day of work. With a night shoot, you get there at like 7 p.m. and you wrap at 7 a.m. and you get home and it's light out and it's weird and it just it breaks my brain every time. So yeah, the combination of just being like weirdly sleep deprived and so hot.
It would have been bad enough as a night shoot, but it just had to be like 120 degrees.
It was so hot. But everybody was that was kind of the cool part about that day was that we got to set, it was so miserable, and everybody, as soon as you looked anyone in the eye, it was like a common understanding of like, wow, this sucks for all of us.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna like do whatever we can do to make it through, and somehow it's all gonna happen.
Absolutely. I think that same episode I also we did police station stuff, and I got to do the harness stunt where I got pulled onto the mat. That was fun. And it looks great.
Did that hurt?
No, I don't. It was very. They're very professional. They were just like, this is just we're just gonna pull you back, and it was fun. I think you got a video of it.
I did. It was cool. I got a slow-mo video because at the same time they hooked Sungwon up to a string, and they just yanked him. Yanked you back onto this mat, and simultaneously 6 different crew members threw shit into the air, threw handfuls of dust and dirt and papers to make it feel like an explosion had just happened. So I was just off on the side taking a slow-mo iPhone video because I was like, this is going to be cool. And it was so tight.
It was cool. Let's see, episode 3, that was the Void, which that Void set's fucking trippy.
Oh yeah, see, I was not there for the Void.
Oh, you weren't there for the Void? But we did
you were alone.
Oh, but for season 1 we did the intro there.
We were, I've been on that set before because and that's also where we shot your apartment in that same.
Yeah.
And the jail cell. Did we actually go into the jail cell, or
wait, the jail cell?
No, that was the jail cell was an interstitial moment of you asleep in a jail cell.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Now, did you do the thing where, because they told me to do this, it was crazy, where on that white Void said you face the wall, you close your eyes, walk forward, and open. Did you do this on that set?
I don't know. For some reason, that sounds familiar because it disorients you completely.
It basically makes you feel like you're actually in a vast void, because if you just
wild.
You look, because for those of you who didn't see the scene, it's a completely white space. Basically, it's like a corner and it's like a white space, and if you're just looking outside of it, it just looks like a white corner. But if you walk in the middle of it, just walk forward, close your eyes, walk forward, and open them, and it really does feel like you're in like the Matrix,
nowhere.
It's just a giant void around you. It was crazy.
It's because the wall's curved, so you can't see where the wall meets the floor.
Yeah.
And just that amount of I think it's like that horizon thing that they talk about with people in space or something. There's something about if you don't know where the horizon is, your brain is like, well, we're just lost. We could be anywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But yeah,
no,
it definitely
I think that's
feels
probably very related,
You're just in, like the Matrix, exactly.
Yeah, and that episode had some fun stuff. I got to spill a Gatorade all over myself. I had to wear a fucking gun attached to my head that kept falling off. It was a pain in the ass. We also had some cave scenes, which, I don't know if you remember this. Right after we shot those cave scenes...
they caught on fire.
They caught on fire, yeah. They immediately caught on fire afterward. And we were like, wow, we dodged a bullet there.
We were just there, yeah. I know, and I remember thinking, because I think they said when we were at Bronson Caves, they were like, oh, there's another film shoot coming in after us, so we have to get out of here in time.
Right.
And then it caught fire, so sucks for that other film shoot, sorry.
Yeah. Otherwise, episodes 4 through 6 to me are like a blur, because, well, first off, there was Beach Day, which was amazing.
Beach Day was amazing, and I think we all knew, and we were looking forward to Beach Day the entire shoot.
Yeah, this Beach beautiful Day was private beach, and everybody was in a great mood.
Gorgeous.
I was like, man, why can't all shoot day? I mean, that whole shoot was wonderful, but that day was just in particular very nice. You got to walk down the hill to this beautiful long beach, and just.
I think that was the first day that Monique was on set as well.
Yes, and she killed it.
That's also a fun actor thing, which is okay, so today you're going to meet your mother
right,
for the first time.
Yeah.
You've got a very long, storied, contentious relationship with her. Action. And you're just hello, nice to meet you. You're my mother. We have a history. I hate you. Also excited to work with you. You're fantastic. Let's do it. But she was amazing.
She killed it. I was she immediately had the right energy, and we got to do the scene where I throw up.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun.
What did they give you for your throw up?
That was a mixture of oh god, I barely remember. Maybe milk and cereal, probably something similar to what you had for season 1.
Yeah, because I remember they were like, this is strawberry milk and oatmeal or something, and they were like, theoretically, it would be what you had for breakfast. And I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I think
but
that
also
was similar.
Gross.
Also, that gif of you throwing up, I think, is it's a pretty popular gif on Twitter, I think. Is that?
Yep, that's going to be my legacy for the rest of my life. It's like the number one result when you look up like barf or hurl or
Is
puke.
it really?
Yeah.
That's honestly that's honestly awesome, actually.
Do you want to know something even crazier?
Yeah, what's up?
This might be like too weird to put in, so you can cut this out if it's too weird. But
no, go for it.
The woman who died at the Capitol riot insurrection. They found her, like, one of my friends was like, yeah, I was looking her up on Twitter, and if you go into her recent tweets, like 3 down from that is her tweeting that gif of me throwing up.
Whoa.
Isn't that weird?
That's wild.
So anyway, yeah, everybody has that gif. It's everywhere. It's great. It's a great puke gif. I'm so glad I could contribute that to the pop culture world.
Oh, man.
Actually, when you recently tweeted, like, search yourself in the gifs, and the third one is the whatever you when you're drunk. And that's my first one. If you search my name, that's the first one that comes up. I was like, so close.
Let's see. That was also the episode where we filmed in the Scientology building.
Oh my
God! Which was
a
weird place. That was
so
weird.
And I don't know if anybody listening is a Scientologist. I don't fully understand, and don't wish you any offense. But I don't know why the Scientologists let us film our cult scene. In their building. They were just like, this is cool with us. Like I didn't. Our art department took their pictures off the wall and put up our own cult symbols.
Yeah.
And then we shot our cult scene in the Scientology building.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, they were like, not only that, the scene where I'm tortured. The scene where, like, I guess they just they're like, whatever.
Cult headquarters. I mean, brilliant geniuses. Rocket Jump for like even thinking that would be possible to get that location. Like, what if we could get the Scientology library as our cult headquarters, and then getting that place?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was amazing. It was so bizarre in there. There were like all those urns of like prophecies in those glass cases where they were like, this prophecy cannot be opened until the year 2070. It was like so specific. It was like April 19th, 2073. Yeah. You can open this prophecy. Yeah. So weird.
It was weird. This episode had a lot of good stuff. It had Beach Day, but I think this is my favorite episode of the season.
It's a good episode.
And it has my favorite scene, which is I'll get into the one take hallway fight in a second.
Oh my God! So
right
good.
Before that is a scene where we have to do like the close up almost kiss.
Oh,
that was one of the funniest. Because it's like the energy of like, hey, if you have to stare somebody directly in the eyes, right? Like that already is hard to not laugh, right? But then that scene to me was that times 1,000, and it also didn't help that the crew was also trying not to laugh, and I can sense that. But I was dying. It was so funny, especially like I gotta go. Okay, oh my God.
That was definitely one of those moments that everybody knew exactly what the scene was that we were making fun of. Like, we have seen that exact scene so many times in so many different things, and it's always so ridiculous. Right. And even reading it when we first got the scripts for season 2, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be... So everyone was like anticipating how ridiculous it was going to be. So even just having that in you, just knowing like this is going to be hard, but if we could pull it off, it's going to be so funny.
Oh man! To your credit, you're unbreakable. I don't think did you break once? Ever?
Laughing wise, I don't think so. I think it's again like I did so many improv shows and stuff that I'm pretty good at not laughing. I actually remember, and I did a lot of sketch comedy after college again because I was like, I guess I have to make my own work, so I'm going to start a sketch group.
Sure.
I remember one of the only times I ever broke in a sketch show, and it was such a lesson for me because what I did was I waited, I held for a laugh because it's a live audience, so you like wait till they stop laughing. And I held a little bit too long, and for some reason, that pushed me right over the edge. And I was like totally fine up until then. And I held for like a beat too long, and like then the joke hit me, and I was like, oh no, and I couldn't get it together for the rest of the scene, which sometimes is really funny to watch.
Yeah.
You know, like Jimmy Fallon or whatever on SNL, like or Bill Hader doing Stefan. Like
exactly. Yeah.
The whole joke of that sketch is the writers are putting shit on the teleprompter that he's never seen before, and they're trying to make him laugh because it's so delightful to see him crack up.
Yeah.
So, which also, honestly, it's so funny to see you break that, like, part of me in that scene was just like, make Sungwon break.
Well, you succeeded. Oh my God. Like, and I'll be honest, I don't think I actually break that easily. Like, I maybe, that was like one of the few times I broke like over and over, but
No, you're pretty stoic.
I'm pretty stoic. And I'm just thinking about like voiceover as well. Like, I don't usually break during like, even during group recordings or anything like that. But if I get the giggles,
it's hard.
Which I did in that scene, it was rough, but that was it turned out great. I thought that scene was hilarious. And then the one take hallway fight, which you didn't have to shoot, but I had to shoot. So that was like, I met with that stunt team, I think maybe like a couple days before, and that was like 3 hours of rehearsal, just choreography, learning it all. And then the actual scene, I think, took like 5 hours to shoot. And I will say, people ask, most of that fight is me. There's only 2 parts where it's a stuntman, and it is, I have time frames here. 10 minutes to 10:05, there's a kick. I don't do that kick. And then 10:14 and 10:16, the fall. I don't actually do the fall. But everything else, that's me for the most part. And that was one of those like bucket list, like I had tweeted like months before, like bucket list goal one day to be in a ridiculous like choreographed fight scene. I think Freddie must have seen it or something like that, because when I saw it was in the script, I was like, oh my God. But then I was like, oh my God, I have to do that now. But
yes,
I think it turned out great. And then
it did.
Fucking Senzaki puts a rap over it, which is that he just wrote on the spot.
He's a genius.
He's incredible. And he also did the for those of you who aren't aware, he did the vocals for the second season's opening, which is a great opening.
Yeah. He sings the rap, right?
Yes, and he sings the rap, which just made it even better.
He also plays the character Senzaki in the very first episode. He's like one of the first characters you see that Sungwon's chasing.
That's right.
And he ran sound for the entire shoot. He's a magician. He's incredible.
He's wonderful.
You looked so good in that scene. I don't know how you felt. I kind of felt this way about my gunfight scene in AMV Alley at the time. And again, maybe it's because I was so tired and so hot. And because I didn't get pre-training on
that's
fight
incredible
choreography.
To me that you just got
we
to
did
do
that
on the
like
spot.
Freddie was like, come over here real quick, let me show you what you're gonna do. And I was like, okay. He's like, here's how you hold a gun. Great. So at the time I was like, I really hope I pulled this off. And the way they cut it together and shot it, they made me look so cool. After the fact, when I finally saw it, I was like, oh my God. I don't know if you felt that way about your one take hallway fight scene, but you looked so cool.
I didn't feel that way because I had practiced. That's amazed, though, that you did all that with no prep in advance. Even holding the gun. Oh, man, that's nuts.
I had way less to do than like you that. And if you guys haven't, those of you listening, if you haven't seen the behind the scenes on the one take hallway fight scene, you absolutely should, because they do a side by side watching. And you can watch how they shoot it and then watch what shows up on screen. And Lauren Haratumian, who's also a genius, is basically a choreographed character in the fight. She's holding the camera and she's like doing all these moves, and you feel it in the camera when someone takes a hit, and she's like moving around all of the stunt guys who are like getting hit and falling and dying and like whatever, and Sungwon stunt double. It's incredible. The choreography is amazing.
It was one of the most difficult, but one of the most like satisfying things I've done. Like I was like, honestly, if we had gotten to season 3, I was like, oh man, I want me and Riley to have like a fight.
I know.
Not against, like, maybe against each other, but like side by side, like taking out bad guys.
Totally.
Never say never.
I'm just putting that in the universe. Like someday down the line, when we get season 3 and like 10 years have passed in our lives, because that can still happen.
Yeah.
I want us on wires. I want like a full on. I want pulled out all the stops. The most epic like team fight scene that's ever been made.
Incredible.
It would be incredible.
Yeah. So that was my favorite scene, and I think it turned out. I was confident it would turn out good because of how everyone else, like the stunt people and the people filming it, I was like, I trust them fully. Like they will make me look good. And it turned out. It was kind of funny though. Like like we had rehearsed it, and so we were doing it too fast. Like
really?
Yeah, we were like, because in the like we were just like bam, bam, and Freddie's like, whoa, we need to like catch all of that, because so we were prepared to do it like faster, like way faster. Wow. But it was like no, you have to land, like make sure, especially because you got to make sure your camera has time to do this angle, do this angle. But yeah, no, it was very fun. The last couple episodes, basically, I just remember I screamed so much that I lost my voice.
Yeah. And you were like, I have voiceover jobs coming up. Like, do you really need me to keep screaming?
I had to reschedule one of them.
Oh no.
That was on me though. I just wanted to give it it was the last thing we were shooting. I wanted to give it my all. And rescheduling is not uncommon. It's like, just let them know in advance. And I was like, yeah, I have to reschedule. I lost my voice. And also we got some kick-ass outfits in that last scene. That was another great set too. Like we were like cool. Under like a park, right?
Yeah, it was like a water treatment plant or something.
That's right. Yeah. It was wild.
And I think they actually, if I remember correctly, lost their original location like right before we were supposed to. They found that was like a last minute that they found that location and like made it look amazing. It looked so good, and that machine they built was so tight.
Yeah.
That I had to plug the blood hard drive into. That line is still the funniest thing I think I'll ever say in anything ever. Let's go take all of your blood and squirt it into the internet so we can save anime. Anthony Birch, thank you so much for writing that line.
So good. That's all the notes I had. Is there anything from either season that came up, or like any anecdotes or anything that you can think of?
Man, I don't know. I mean, it was such a fun project to work on from start to finish. There was no drama. There was, it was so easy. I'm I say that as a cast member. I don't fully know what happens behind the scenes, but like from what I can gather, everybody worked together really well. It was such a great team to work with. It was just super, super fun and rewarding, and like over way too soon.
Yeah, I describe it as like, it's like really intense summer camp.
Yeah, totally.
Like everyone, like, makeup, like production, cameras, lights, just like everybody is like, at least on that shoot, like was having fun. Like, it feels like a big family. You see these people every day, like for like 10 12 hours a day for 2 weeks, and then you go home and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Which for me, I'm not used to. For you, you've done several. For me, I'm like, oh wow, like that's intense. And you miss it. You're like, oh, I wish we could. I don't know, season. Yeah, that's why you want a season 3, not just because you want to work, but just like, I want to do this again. I want to see these people.
And you want to know, you want to find out what happens to their characters and like what happens next. And, yeah.
If you're listening to this, listeners, and want a season 3, go poke Crunchyroll or something on Twitter or whatever, or go watch it, and I don't know, like, just know that we're down, and Freddie and them, I think, are down. Just
we're just hanging out.
I don't think it's impossible. I could definitely see it one day happening, if we're lucky.
I hope so. I think that would be very, very cool. It was such a fun thing to shoot. Yeah.
Now, are there any I asked Twitter for any suggestions for topics, and were there any that you wanted to cover on there?
Well, some of them were about ACD, which was great. So I think we touched on some of those. Somebody asked if we thought we would be good detectives in real life. And I think we would.
Yeah.
Based on playing board games together, I think we both are like analytical thinkers.
Yeah.
We don't get we don't lose our heads very easily.
Mm-hmm.
How
are you in escape rooms?
I fucking love escape rooms. I dominate. I'm great at escape rooms.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm also very good at escape rooms. So I think we'd be kick-ass detectives.
Yeah, I think that is the entrance test to become a detective. They're just like, do this escape room. Mm-hmm. If you're good at it, here's your badge.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's all you need.
Totally.
We should do escape rooms when it's safe.
Yes, I'm so down. I love escape rooms.
I'm definitely thinking of people who are okay, who would be a good in an escape room, and you're definitely someone who comes to mind.
Yes.
So the answer is yes for detectives. Any other ones that
obviously
you thought were that you wanted to cover?
I don't know. Some people asked some stuff about anime that I just don't know. I'm so sorry.
Just forget those ones then. Yeah, just anything
fine.
You actually legitimately want to answer.
What was it? I feel like there was somebody asked something really deep and existential.
Sure.
It was what's your greatest nightmare, biggest dream, greatest nightmare?
You want to find? You want to go? You want me to find the thread real quick?
Holy shit! Yeah, it was. I think it was just something. It was what is your biggest dream and greatest nightmare? It might not be phrased exactly like that, but that was the idea. And I was like, holy shit, Twitter. Okay.
Sure. You want to end with that one then? What's your worst?
Okay.
I'm looking at it. What's your worst nightmare, best dream? Wait, are they talking about actually sleeping or in life?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, and maybe this is just where my brain goes because I have narcolepsy, and the whole thing with narcolepsy is that you dream pretty much immediately once you start sleeping, and you dream the whole time. It just I dream and dream and dream.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about I don't necessarily have a nightmarish. When people ask you what's your biggest fear, I'm afraid of my parents dying, and I'm afraid of I don't know the Trump people taking over.
Sure.
But I don't really have sharks. I don't have an image for my greatest nightmare. So to me, nightmares are just this experience, almost like being on set or being kind of what we were talking about, being in an environment where you get the feeling from the environment that shit is going to go badly, and it's and you can't escape it. Or when I have good dreams, I dream a lot about I don't know, I build a lot of buildings in my dream, not physically build them, but I find myself in interesting environments a lot in my dreams, interesting buildings and interesting places and stuff. So anyway, I was thinking about all that, and then I was like, I wonder what Sungwon dreams about. So I just thought that was kind of a fun one. What do you dream about?
Worst. I think my worst nightmares are actually the same thing as my actual worst, fear in life, which is what you said, death of loved ones. That's legitimately what scares me the most. Not to get super heavy, but I don't. Maybe it's just me being I'll live forever, but but I don't have a lot of fear about my own death, but for others, sort of the thought of and I've had family death before, but neither of my parents have died, and the thought of one of them and having to continue life, that's a very scary thought to me, or if or a close friend, or if somebody, so that's definitely and so my worst nightmares have been ones like that, where I actually had one where like both my parents died in an accident, and I was like, oh my god, like it felt so real and so visceral. The best dreams, let's see. I've only had, like, I don't know if this is the best dream, but one of the most kind of fun dreams I remember having is, have you ever lucid dreamt before?
Yeah, so that's also part of narcolepsy is like not only do you just start dreaming pretty much as soon as you fall asleep, but sometimes you start dreaming before you fall asleep or as you're falling asleep. So you're just aware. I have a lot of like, I'm aware that I'm asleep and dreaming moments. And occasionally you just hallucinate if your, medication isn't correct. You're, like I remember in high school falling asleep in math class and like being aware that I was kind of falling asleep, but being like, okay, you need to wake yourself up. And then you definitely need to tell the teacher that thing about how Jared needs to wear a tie in the second act of Tommy, because I was crewing Tommy at the time and was on costume crew. And like, it was just all my brain just converged into one thing. Anyway, that was just like my first memory of like having dreams converge with real life. But yeah, now I think I'm better at being like, oh, I'm in a dream. I know I'm dreaming. Oh, it's a dream. Cool. Let's fly. And I'll just be like, we're going to fly now. It's a flying dream. Hooray. We're flying around.
Yeah, no, the one time I've ever lucid dreamt was, and this was a long time ago. Like, I remember I realized I could dream. So I was like, okay, I want ice cream. And I just made like an ice cream stand up here. And I just had ice cream. And I was like,
yes.
But I think I made it appear. And I was like, okay, I want to go there. And I just flew there. Like, I just remember, it's the one time I've ever lucid dreamt. But I was like, this is rad. And then I woke up before I could like do anything more with it. I often find I don't remember a lot of my dreams when I wake up. But I think also in the same ballpark is ones where I'm like, bummed I woke up because like I wanted to see what happened next, or it was almost like a good story. Like those are ones that I can't think of any off the top of my head, but something like that. That's the sort of feeling of like, oh, and you will never be able to like go back to it, or maybe
see that's something that I've been able to do. Yeah, that's like one of the few skills that I'm like, this is dope. Frequently I'll wake up and be able to go back to the same dream, and sometimes I'll wake up again and still be able to go back to the same dream and just be like, no, I'm not ready yet. I want to see what happens next, and like go back and keep messing around in that world. But I think I got good at that. I don't think I was always able to do that. I think that like took some practice.
Damn. Okay. And I guess to apply it to life, I guess, so I think maybe this might be one good one to end on. So for me, I think we both of our worst nightmares was death of a family member, right?
Yeah.
But for dream in life, I guess I think I'll go first just because I think I've said mine before. But for me, if I can go through life, so I don't even there's a difference between like what's the ideal best life and what my dream is, right? So
yeah, totally.
Because I think for me, I think a good life is as long as I, surrounded myself with people I love and had a good time. That's ultimately what's going to matter, I think, for me. But for, like, dreaming, like, let's say, whatever, for me, I would love, I look at a lot of voice actors who are, like, 70, 80, and they're still working. And I'm like, if I can, like, go through, because, this is something I've always wanted to do since a very young age and have gotten a chance to get into and still love just as much. Like, I even now, I still go in and I still love it. If I can just do this for like, I don't know, 40 years, and that to me is the dream. Just like being able to do what I like to do for as long as I can. I think that to me, if I can achieve that, that's kind of my dream. So I guess for you, what is your sort of dream, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing, honestly. I remember even as a little kid when I talked about wanting to be an actor, I remember being very aware that you can be an actor up until, like, people die on set. Not all the time, but it happens that like they'll die in the middle of a project or like while they're shooting something or in a play, or, I would love to be able to work until I die, and hopefully that's a long time. It's not like soon. But yeah, I mean, and I think the dream for me as well as an actor is to be able to be that person that is in a whole bunch of stuff that like maybe you recognize from something, but like doesn't necessarily. I don't really want to have to deal with fame or I don't dream about like the moment that I win an Oscar. Like I just want to I want when like Anime Crimes Division ended to be able to jump right in. I think I actually did book something right after that. But to be able to book like something right after, jump right into the next project and know that there's always going to be something after that and there's going to be a new group of people that you're working with and you're going to make new friends and create something different and play in a world that you've never played in before. I mean, just the possibilities when it comes to acting and what's out there and what can be done and what you can experience as an actor is so exciting to me. So I guess the dream is just like as much of that as possible.
Yeah. It's I think also with acting in the particular, it's like it's gig based, right? It's like you do your gig and you're like, all right, here's hoping I book another thing, right? And it's like, and all it is just like, just working towards that, like in, which I think is, it lacks the sort of security of like, like a full time, just like desk job or something. Which I have, I am not disparaging like full time like desk jobs at all. Like, but I mean. It lacks that security. In fact, I'm complimenting that because of like.
I was gonna say I don't know about you, but when people are like, I am fulfilled by doing this job, and I do my job, and I come home and I live my life, and that's what fulfills me. I'm like, I'm so jealous of you. I wish that I could. That sounds so nice to me,
right?
But instead, I'm cursed with this. This acting thing.
And like and I there have been some. I actually just. Recently rewatched a Korean film called Castaway on the Moon. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I don't think I have. No.
It's very good. You should check it out. But it's that movie and then Pixar's Soul, which
I did watch that recently.
I love. They both have a similar message of kind of like, career is cool. Like it's great to like have aspirations for your career and or like want to achieve big dreams and be like blah blah blah. But what's kind of most important is just that you enjoy your life, right? So that's why I think with I think with us, we love acting, right? It's not we're not pursuing it because we want to be adored like by like you said, you don't want to be famous, right?
Right.
That's not the part. What it is, it's like doing the work. That's what's enjoyable.
Right.
It's almost, and I almost describe some stuff. It's like, fuck, I do this for free. I mean, I please pay me, but like, this is so much fun. Like, I would almost be doing this for free if I could, right? Like, So there is that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say part of that too is the experience of getting to work. Filmmaking especially is such a collaborative art form, and that to me is part of the joy of it too, which I'm sure as a voice actor, the difference between recording something at home and actually getting to be in the studio with other actors and like recording together is much cooler, much more fun when you're like working off of people and bouncing off people and getting to see what other people are bringing to the table, and then that inspires you, or even just working with a director or the script that you get that was written by another artist.
Sure.
It's such a cool collaborative process, and when you can have that experience and create something awesome with a group of people that inspire you, that's where the magic happens. That's why to me Anime Crimes Division was like my favorite thing that I've done. Even when I look back at like a pilot that I shot and I got to work with a really famous actor and we had scenes together and I met them, like that's like a fun experience. It's like a neat day.
Yeah.
But in terms of like fulfilling like life dream fulfillment, if I could work with my friends or like my peers and the people that I love and am inspired by for the rest of my life, that would also, I think that's also kind of what's motivating us to make this film in a couple of weeks, is like that we can do it and we should do it and it's an exciting thing to do, but that it also fills this part of you where you get to work with people that you love working with, and you're going to feed off each other's energy, and it's going to be that exciting thing, which was what was so exciting on Anime Crimes Division, to discover that we had that and that it was going to be that type of project. So I think adding that to the dream of like finding ways to continue working with people that inspire you and that you sort of gel with, it just doesn't feel like work. It feels like fun.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a good note to end on. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me. It's always a pleasure. Sure. Where can people find you?
I am on Twitter at Riley Rose Critch, and I'm on Instagram at Riley Ace of Spies. If you check out the old link in my bio on any of those things, you can find our GoFundMe for our film that we're making, which is called The Jessica Cabin. It's about sad queer ghosts, and it's like funny and bleak and sweet and weird. And we're shooting that in Joshua Tree in 2 weeks. So super excited about that. But we are still raising some funds. So if you would like the credit of associate producer on our film, you can buy it. Essentially,
this won't be out for a while. So is there any way to support it, let's say, after the fact?
Yeah, that GoFundMe will be up. So we're basically raising money. We're going to go through production. We're already going to be shooting in 2 weeks. Okay. And then after the fact, we are hiring our composer. We're hiring our editor. We're doing our color correcting. So that is what we need that money for.
So it'll still be up for a while then?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And if you feel like supporting us, that's amazing. But yeah, you can. I'm sure I'll post all about the film on my Instagram and Twitter. So if you follow me there, you'll learn all about it.
Nice. Well, thank you again. This has been a pleasure, and we should